Nearly 50% of Americans watch the game of basketball. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's a critic. But how many truly understand the game at a high level? Welcome to Passing the Knowledge with Chris and Chuck.
All right, welcome back to the PTK podcast. We got my boy Jeff and Brandon. Sadly, Chris couldn't make it today, so we're just going to fill in for him.
We don't need him.
Hey, pal, how are you?
But let's just quickly go into a brief recap of what you guys are about, who you are. Jeff, would you like to start?
Jeff Desir, the founder of the One Up Institute here in Stamford, Connecticut. Stanford kid, born and raised, played at Stanford High School all 4 years, ended up going to play at Rhode Island College. After my sophomore year, tore my ACL and stopped playing. Once that happened, had to figure out the next best thing. So I went into coaching, and from there, I started this business that I have now.
Brandon, Docimo, or Coach B, Coach Das. I got a million nicknames. Also, Stanford born and raised. I was a college baseball player, but I had a background all the way up until college in basketball. And I'm now a strength and conditioning coach here at One Up, as well as at Pipe Hitter Performance. And working with Coach Jeff, trying to get these youngins right.
So Jeff, did you know you always wanted to be a coach, or do you feel like that just kind of happened naturally, being a basketball player? And
It just happened naturally. Like everybody, like I wanted to be an NBA basketball player. Like, you know what I'm saying? Coaching started really to come into play as I just started getting older. Right? I wanted to try to figure out a way to give back to the kids and give them the knowledge that I have. Like, I don't know everything, but there's some things that I do know. I've played at the college level, played high school. I worked overseas, so I've coached in Spain in their third division, ended up winning a championship over there, which moved that program up to the second division. I've worked for NBA Yao out in Beijing. So like I've been around the game of basketball for a while, and it's given me a lot. So try my best to hand that down to the next person, and hopefully they can take it and run with it.
right. And as you started getting into coaching, what came natural to you? What were you immediately good at? What did you kind of have to learn along the way?
The communication was one of those things that was like easy for me. So I was a young coach, and I still feel like I'm a young coach. So I'm 36 right now. So
Young?
I can
You sure
relate.
with that knee compression
Yeah,
thing on?
no, yeah, yep. I can relate to teens, and I can also relate to older guys that are older than me, right? So there's music that I listen to that some of these young teenagers are bopping and listening to, and there's some music that I'm listening to that these old guys are doing, right? And I just always remembered as a player all the things that I hated that coaches did to me, and I just don't do that with the kids, right? And that just starts with communicating, understanding the kids, knowing the kids, and is just trying to be as a mentor to them, but also being a friend, right? So having that line drawn where the respect has to be there, but you can come to talk to me and we can figure things out.
I think that's something that you both excel at. I've been in the gym with you, B, and I've also been in the gym with you,
Yep.
Jeff. But bridging that gap between the older generation and the younger generation, whether it's like through culture or just being able to connect with them, I think it's something you both excel at. But B, coming from a baseball background, we've also played basketball. How did you get into fitness, and what are some other passions that you are pursuing currently?
I've always been into exercise, right? Whether it was through sports growing up, I was always trying to play some kind of sport when I was growing up, right? So I'd be out there for 8 hours. Once I got to college and I realized that I was not going to be the best player on the team, which growing up, I was fortunate enough to be gifted and given the blessings to be one of the better guys on the team, almost every team that I played on, right? But you get a wake up call sooner or later, and mine was in college, and I said I need to start working my butt off to be able to compete here. Like I didn't come to just be on the team, I came to play. And that's when I really started hitting the weight room because I was forced to. Whereas in high school, I didn't really have a coach. I didn't really have guidance in regards to the strength and conditioning aspect of it. I was just naturally good at the sports that I played, and I would put the time in on the court or on the field or whatever it was, but I didn't understand the importance of the weight room and not even just the weights, the strength and conditioning aspect of it and keeping your body healthy. And I started really getting into my own personal fitness journey in college, one to get better and to be able to compete at, the school that I was at, which was ranked number 3 in the nation when I got there for Division 2.
Nice.
I said I need to step up, right? And then also, I just wanted to feel good. I wanted to look good, obviously. And I
He's still working on the
was,
looking good part, but yeah.
yeah, that's more important now than anything. Now that my pretty much playing days are over, but I was always trying to look things up, trying to better myself in terms of the knowledge aspect, understanding, and I was always asking questions when I was in the weight room with my team, and I was super into it. And once, which I'm sure we're going to get into, once One Up really officially started, I had, somewhat of a background just based on my own personal experience in the weight room. So Jeff brought me on not only as a basketball coach, but as the strength and conditioning guy, along with Dustin and Dondre and all the other people that were there. But I really started getting into it with groups and you guys at One Up, and that's where it started. And I never really saw myself being a strength and conditioning coach until camp was done, and you specifically actually were like, "Yo, can we keep working out?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." Like I loved doing it because, like Jeff said, I loved passing the knowledge on to the next person. Right? I didn't have that, unfortunately. So I want to give the kids what I didn't have, and also what I think they need. Right? And we're not perfect, but I want to be able to help them reach their goal, right? And it's rewarding for us for sure as coaches to see that. So when you specifically and then Danny and Sejan, they you guys wanted to continue to work out, and I was like, yeah, for sure, this is awesome. So we went into the gym, which you remember, and I remember we started posting it, and everybody else was like, oh, you guys are still working out. Like, can I come work out? Can I come work out? And I started to enjoy it, and I enjoyed being with you guys, and you guys were easily coachable, so you guys made it fun. And that's long-winded answer, but that's really how my strength and conditioning journey started, was with you guys. And I'm definitely fortunate for the One Up opportunity because it closed the door that I was, really not all the way happy with when, I was doing sales straight out of school.
Yep.
And I didn't see myself doing that long term. And then I loved the coaching. So that opened up a door. One Up opened up a door for my strength and conditioning. And now, I got the certification, and now I'm super into it, and I'm still learning, and I still need to continue to grow. But there's my long-winded answer on how I became the strength and conditioning coach. I had to give you all the
No,
deets,
but
all the details,
there's something to be said about being able to do something as a profession that you feel passionate about,
100%.
right? So like if you love doing what you're doing and you're getting paid for it on top of it, you're winning,
Yeah.
right? So when you wake up in the morning, it's not like, oh my God, I got to go to this crappy job and deal with this manager that I hate. Like, it's the complete opposite. Like, yeah, there's mornings where you wake up in this basketball stuff and you're just like, man, it's the same thing over and over again, right? But then, an hour goes by, like we're live right now at camp, I wake up in the morning, 6 o'clock, I prepare myself and I come in here, I do my thing, and there's some days where it's raining and I'm just like, do I really want to be in here? Or is my favorite camper coming this week? And that camper knows, you know what, today we're gonna make sure Coach Jeff has a long day. Right? But that's always part of the grind, and I wouldn't want to change that for anything else.
It's a cliche saying, do what you love, but it's a saying for a reason. And I think as I'm finishing up my college career, my time in college as a student, and people are like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm majoring in finance, but I don't want to sit in a desk. Well, I knew that from the jump. And kind of like you guys, where you didn't necessarily know that you wanted to be a coach, or you didn't necessarily know you wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach. You knew that at the end of the day, you wanted to do what you love. And there's always going to be an avenue for that. It's kind of just finding it and going with it.
You get callings from the universe pretty much, and stepping into the unknown is one of the best things because you don't know what doors are going to open for you, and you don't know if you are going to love something until you do it, right?
Yeah.
You might step into the coaching and be like, you know what, this isn't for me, and you got to find something else. But as long as you're enjoying it, I think that's the most important thing, right? The money, I knew was not a primary driver for me when I started the strength and conditioning. I just knew that I loved it, and I knew that I could grow, and I knew that I could be good at it because, you know what I mean, I'm gonna put the work in. But you
And
get
when you
callings
see the
from the universe,
development,
man.
and when you see the development of the player that you're working with, that also sometimes is worth more than money,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. That's
So
that's the rewarding part that I was saying. But like, again, you don't know what you're gonna step into. Somebody might come into the gym, a parent might come into the gym and say, hey, listen, I have this opportunity for you. And you know what I mean? That might be your career for the rest of you. Don't know.
yeah,
You really don't know. And that's the best part about it. And you saying how you kind of had the idea, it's great. But things can switch up in 5 years. You might be like, you know what? I actually am starting to love this. And it's completely different than basketball coaching, whatever it may be. And that's the best part about life, bro. You just kind of enjoy the
and
journey.
I also feel like, like just going back to the whole college thing, it's like you can get a degree in sales, a degree in finance, and still love basketball, right? I think the guys that are really successful in this are the guys that have the degree in finance and have the love for the game and trying to go a different route in a different lane, right? So if this lane right here is crowded, the guy that has his skills in finance, how do I bring that to the basketball world and do something completely different that's not happening right now? And be the first one to innovate something or put together a new way to sell a product. Like, you know what I mean? It's endless.
I think that's the more challenging part, being able to, again, bridge the gap between what you're skilled at and what you love. And while it may not have been done before, why can't you do it? As long as you put 100% effort in, that's what I kind of learned. Like, if you half-ass shit, you're not going to be successful. I mean, straight up, that's just how it is.
Some people get by, but it's really dependent on what you want to be giving, you know, out, what your product or what your work ethic. I mean, it's not even a product for you, it's a product, right? Because you have a business. But
Yep.
for somebody in finance, it's just, I got to get my work done, you know what I mean? And like, or sales, I got to hit my numbers. So for me, you know what I mean? When I was doing sales, it's like, yo, once I hit my numbers, obviously I'm trying to get more, right? If you're commission based, whatever
Yep.
that. But it's really just the output. And like you said, I mean, whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. And that's all dependent. And like, you don't have to be perfect. Like there's things I'm good at that, you know what I mean, that you're, not as good at, and there's
Yep.
things that you're better at than me.
Yep.
But it's finding what you are good at and being able to hone in on that, and then learning from the other coaches or the other people around you. Like I never really want to be the best person at my job. You know what I mean? Because if you're the smartest person at the job, then maybe you're not in the right place. Like me personally, I'm always trying to be a sponge. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
learn, right? I'm continuously learning. So I think that's also an important aspect. But I mean, it depends on where you are. It depends on the situation. Like life's crazy, it
Well,
really is dependent.
it's crazy because, like, there's kids that wear $25, $30 Nike shorts. And then there's other kids that want the $100, $200 Eric Emanuel shorts, right? So then now, like, there's sales in hats, there's T-shirts that sell. Like basketball, there's basketball products. I'm wearing this knee sleeve, like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many things that you can do in the game of basketball. It's just, once again, find your lane, but make your name and then find your lane.
I think also social media is huge. I mean, that goes for everything. If you're trying to promote your brand, promote your business, that's what I've kind of learned to lean into. I'm interning for Chris, obviously. That's how the PTK podcast started. And while he's a little bit older, he's still in tune. He's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, but he's never really went onto TikTok. I'm like, why would you not? There's so many people on TikTok, the younger generation, and at the same time, YouTube. I mean, we're posting all our videos on YouTube, our workouts, and like any kid could just come across one of these workout videos, be like, wow, I want to get in the gym with him. Text us, DMs us.
The
Twitter,
the
right? It's
the,
X now.
the social media is another opportunity if you look at it that way. Also, people are making careers off of social media nowadays, and I don't want to say unfortunately it's become such a big part of growing a brand and a business because again, people are being able to make a career off of it, and something that I do, it helps people, music. I'm sure we're going to get into that. But something that I do outside of this coaching stuff, it's huge. But it does add another stress factor, and it does add another level of work that, you know what I mean, can be taken away from maybe just studying the knowledge that you can gain. But there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
But social media,
It's a gift and a curse.
it's a gift and a curse in a way, in my opinion. But again,
It's how you use it.
you might be able to take one up, or we might be able to take one up to the next level because one video goes viral and people are using that niche. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Finding what it is that they're good at or what their brand can hone in on and push that one thing on social media, and that takes them to that next level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really takes
But it's
one
also,
person, one video.
I think it's how you use social media, right? So that now, like, even with the One Up brand, like, we have the One Up brand, but like, I'm not somebody that is like out there personally on social media. So like, there's, like, I've heard people say there's a mystique about you. Like, we heard about you. Like, you coached here, you won here. Like, you have that record, but like, your face isn't planted somewhere on Instagram. So people don't really even know what I'm about, the things that I'm interested in, right? And sometimes I feel some of that stuff also needs to be private, the stuff that I like, the stuff that I'm into, right? But also too, I feel like sometimes it's good to let people know, you know what, here's what I'm doing, here's what I've accomplished, and like, I'm not bragging about it, but this is just what I have to do when I'm in this lane.
In my opinion, it's not even about bragging. It's kids can possibly relate to your background story. You know what I mean? So it's good. I mean, it's all dependent on how you want to put yourself out there, but there's definitely coaches or musicians or other people that they put their story out there and you're like, wow, you know what? I actually went through the same thing he did when he was growing up. I kind of took that same route. I can relate to this guy. And that makes them more of a supporter, a fan, whatever it may be. So it's good, but it's also, you know what I mean? It's all dependent on, like, if you wanted to put yourself out there, cool, there can be good things, but maybe you lose some privacy. But
I think something that Jeff and I talked about a lot in the past is intentions. And I think that goes really with anything, but specifically here, like
intentional.
Oh, intentions. Yeah.
Intentions and being intentional,
If I make an Instagram post, what are my intentions? To look cool or to promote my brand, my personality, what I stand for? And like when I'm younger, obviously I'm just trying to post the cool stuff, post the highlights of my life. But now that I'm getting older, these Instagram story posts, I'm not just doing it for fun. Yeah. Although it is fun, I'm doing it to try to build a business, build something.
I think there could be a balance.
Yeah, but also
I think
too,
there
like,
could be a balance between the two.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, when you don't do things intentionally, so when you start to post random photos or videos on Instagram, yeah, like, it might be funny to you or it's just whatever. What happens is you have no idea how that is being perceived on the outside. So like, I'm posting these pictures, not caring, not being intentional.
Yeah, but what kind of pic? Like,
well, I'm a college student, or I'm a high school kid that's trying to get recruited, and I'm posting videos of me at parties at 2:00 in the morning with alcohol and all
I
that stuff.
understand now.
Right?
I was gonna say, who's calling me?
I'm posting pictures.
Oh, look who it is, Phil D.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm posting
we let
pictures.
him on the pod?
Yeah, let him on the pod.
Nah, because I don't.
I'm posting pictures
We're
of me with my eyes being red.
20 minutes in.
And I'm looking to get recruited.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes.
A quick break, real quick. Hey, guys!
So I said that it was a bad idea to do a podcast in the middle of camp, but they thought it was a good idea. So we ain't cutting this out. Yeah. We ain't cutting that part out. We're live right now. We're showing it raw.
Behind the scenes.
And I said it was a terrible idea to do it during camp, during their lunch break. I'm just putting that out there.
Get it how you can.
Dudes don't want to listen to Coach B.
And I told you to put some lotion, but your knees are a little ashy.
No, I don't get ashy, bro. Okay. I don't get ashy. I'm not gonna lie. I don't get ashy.
One more example B of like intentions. So we had filmed a podcast with Jeff. This is our second filming, but going to be our first one that we post. And Chris was tired. I mean, it's a 12-hour day. We had a long week, and he's got to take care of his kids. All this. I'm like forcing him to get this podcast filmed, and he's like, I don't like the way that this like represents me or how other people might perceive how I am in this filming. So I think we should refilm. I totally understand it because he represents a lot more than just like his family. He represents his school his job, his business, all that.
Community.
And I was gonna say, like, it again, everything is dependent, but like, you know, for somebody like that who is trying to build a brand, who is a coach, who is this, then yes, of course, the intentional, you have to be intentional, right? You have to be,
Yeah,
you know,
because when
as
you
other people, you know what I mean?
yeah, because
Like,
once you
you
start to
know, it
put
is
it
what
out
it
there,
is.
what
But
happens is no one knew besides Chuck what his schedule looked like that day. So nobody knew he went from 5 a.m. all the way there to what, 9 p.m. was it? 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. straight grind. He's gonna be tired.
yeah, I mean, intentional in life, not just social media, I think is very important. But again, it's I think a balance, because sometimes, you know what I mean, I think it's important to detach from the results also, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And I've been somebody to overthink posts or videos or certain things, when that one video that I overthought and didn't post might have been the one that got recognized by somebody that you know what I mean? So, like, of course, you need to be intentional, but also I think in today's day and age, like, stepping into that unknown, like we started off talking about, is also important, and being able to detach from the results, because you never know.
I would love to get into this logo back here. One up, talk about the COVID summer and how
Logo's
you
pretty
guys.
cool, huh?
Yeah.
We went back and forth. Me and Jeff went back and forth on that for a while, didn't we?
Wow.
Didn't we? It was like, nah, you know,
Nah.
this you isn't this. I'm also a perfectionist, and I was being probably a pain in the ass, right? To you. He's like, bro.
Yeah, no.
He's like, bro, like, I like this logo. It's like, yo, you know what? I don't think it's it. You know what I mean? This might be something that we got to run with for a long time, and came out pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Came
I
out
got the
cool.
shirt. Represent.
But that was the original. See,
Yeah.
we've
That
come a
was the
long
OG.
way.
I thought we were filming this podcast on Wednesday, so I didn't wear my shirt. But, you know, again, nobody wants to listen to Coach B. So we're getting into one up, the start of it. Talk to us, Jeff.
It started really with just Phil, right? Phil D'Amico. Shout out to Philly D. We were at his house.
We were just hanging out by the
Chilling.
pool, like chilling, because it was summer and it was also COVID, and
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like, we were all cooped up, and I think we just wanted to get outside. And I don't even know if, like, it was acceptable to be around people when we were actually, like, just all hanging out by the pool.
Yeah, well,
But
because like the thing about that is like we still didn't know really what was going on. Nobody
sure.
had the answers. They still don't have the answers, I
But
think, right?
you and Chris, prior to COVID happening, you guys were training, you guys were coaching,
Yes,
and that's how you feed your families, and that's how you make your money.
for
And
sure.
when that happened, it's like, what do we do now, right? For me, I had a job and I was getting paid through the government, and I was furloughed from my job, so I was still getting money. But I know you guys were sitting there trying to figure out a game plan, because maybe you guys didn't have, I mean, they were giving us however much it was, right,
Yep.
through the government. But other than that, you didn't have a lot, and you
No.
needed to continue to, you know,
And that
be
was
able to pay the bills.
But then now that's what happens when like right place, right time.
And stepping into, like, you never know.
So
That opportunity, that door just opened one day.
Yeah,
when
but
we
me
went
and
back
Phil
there.
were friends and coaching together probably 4 years prior to that.
Yep.
I never been to Phil's house. So that one time I went to Phil's house, I walked into the backyard expecting me to just go to the pool. Everybody was at the pool. I'm sitting by the pool.
Not knowing Alma Rock's an amusement park back there.
I'm staring at this tennis court back there. Like everyone's talking. I'm just like, is that a court? He's like, that's a tennis court. I walk
Jeff's
up
all
there.
business.
He has two hoops that are about to just fall down, and I'm like, oh no, we got this. The concrete was all messed up. Like we had our ups and downs where we tried to pour the liquid concrete on there, and then our shoes, it was just disgusting. It was too hot. And then Phil's mom, you know, shout out to Jen, she actually came through and repaved the whole thing for us. And
Big shout out to Jen.
had a
I
sand
don't know if
pit
she'll
back
watch
there.
this. I'm sure Phil might send her this part of it. But
Yeah.
big shout out to Jen, because
It
she
wouldn't happen
put up
without
with
her.
a lot, and she was coming home and stressed about her lawn, but also so happy to see us being successful. And she was just like, you guys are killing it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that, you know what I mean, I could provide this space for you
For
guys.
sure.
And she, like most other people, would not let that happen. The neighbors were complaining, and she's like,
But here's
it's
the
only for the
funny
summer
part,
kind of
right? The
thing.
funny part
Shout out to
was
Gen D, for real.
Phil knew the type of coaches and trainers me and Chris were, right? So when we told Gen D, yo, we want to have a camp in your backyard, this lady had no idea who she was dealing with, right? The neighbors nobody could possibly know.
I don't think anybody knew what One Up was going to actually turn into.
Exactly. Like to see how it went there, it was like, okay, magic happened, right place, right time, right people. But like Jen was like, yeah, sure, you guys can have a camp. Like, do your little camp over there. And then she walked one day. Her backyard was full, the driveway full of cars. Neighbors are calling her.
She's
Jen
like,
put up with a lot.
God, yeah, she did.
She did.
So we turned the tennis court into a basketball court, right?
Yep.
New lines, new everything. Phil made all that happen. I think new hoops.
New hoops. Yeah, we
New
brought
hoops.
in new hoops. We got I knew somebody that had some hoops, so we came in. We brought some new hoops in. We brought some portable hoops. Everybody went in their garage, so whatever weight that you had.
It was like just pieced together.
But that's the grind.
It was. I was gonna say that is like the definition of the grind, because it wasn't
pretty.
No, wait, it wasn't pretty. It was blacktop, 90 degrees, but like, let's try and paint the picture for anybody that's watching that doesn't know, because that summer was special. And granted, I think the circumstances really, really helped with that, right? Because it was COVID and nobody really had anything else to do or places to go to continue to work on their game. And I think when you guys brought that opportunity to the table, people were obviously iffy at first, and then said, you know what, let's give it a shot. And we hit the ground running, bro. Like, I don't think that camp could have been any better. And just like every time it gets brought up, from the kids to the parents, it wasn't even about what we built. It was about like the energy that we provided.
The
feeling of that summer, bro, like, was one of the best that we've had since One Up started. That was unreal.
I'll tell you something about that camp, right? That I'm super proud of. Like, that camp that summer was the real true essence of what basketball training and basketball grind looks like and feels like, right? So right now we're sitting in an air conditioned gym. It's 90 degrees. It's 12 o'clock. That means that your group was in there 90 degrees outside and you're on a blacktop, right? That means your shoes, I can feel the heat cooking my socks, right?
It was hot.
I have the sun on my face. Like, we're literally walking around with spray bottles, spraying these guys with cold water, right? But then now what's happening is it's also making you tougher, right? Like now, like I got to be able to work hard in an uncomfortable environment, but then also too, the only kids that were out there that summer were the kids that really wanted it.
I was just going to say that, right? On top of it being 90, like, we didn't slack at all. The kids were working and we didn't let them slack at all.
I was
We
throwing on my
them.
breakfast sandwich. I was like, dang,
it was like, it wasn't like there was no really time that.
No, this was the dog, the yard, right? So that means
we were on it.
But that's the thing, right? So now, like, you're in the yard. The only guys that were out there were the guys that really was about that,
Really
wanted it. It wasn't a kid there that their parents dropped them off and then they had to be here. It's like, no, I want to come outside in the heat. And then now what happens is when you put dogs together, it's going to be special, right? So then now you got these players, right? So Jaylen Brown was out there, you, Sejan, right? Miles at Kobe, Mayock, right?
Pop,
so you got
right?
all
Pop.
those guys.
We had people from everywhere,
but then,
from all different backgrounds.
So nobody could slap because then now DJ was out there, because now every single day, we are battling every day for that camper of the day, right? But then now what happened was even the coaches, we were battling and thugging it out, right? Because then now if Chris came through with a drill and I'm up next, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. If Brandon's doing some weight stuff and Dondre sees it, Dondre's like, nah, not today, buddy. Right? Dustin, he see it, it's not today. So that level of competition, competitiveness really brought the best out of everybody, coaches and players, right? And that's what's lacking now. So like we started as an outdoor camp, and look where we are today, indoor.
But again, the circumstances, I will say, definitely helped. And obviously, people are off different camps now that things are, back
Yes,
open.
yes.
So we didn't really have any competition in terms of, this guy can go there this week if he wants to. It
Yep.
was like, you got to come to one up. But I think because we set the standard on those first couple weeks, everybody knew if you were coming to one up, you were getting better.
Mhm.
And I think that kept people coming. And then by the time we were done, bro, what was there, like 80 kids throughout the day?
Yeah.
Like
nuts.
it started with maybe 40 or something like that. You and Chris brought your
Yeah,
guys together.
Yeah.
But like people were hearing about it. People were asking about it. And then again, I promise you, if you ask any kid that was at that camp, they will not say that they didn't get better.
Yeah.
They really won't.
And they didn't have fun.
And again, yeah, it was a blast on top of like you got your work in, and it was just set up perfectly. And again, all the kids that were there were dogs. They were pushing each other, didn't know each other, became great friends, teammates. And again, when it was time to push each other, I'm the best one on the court, is what it felt like everybody wanted to show.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And also, I might have to play you this year, so I'm gonna let you know what it is. You can't,
Real
you
fast,
can't,
real quick,
you can't
yeah.
fuck with me. You know what I mean? I'm letting you know that now.
So when you see
know?
me on the court,
So now when you see me in high school,
yeah,
know what it is,
Yeah.
or I know what it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just what it was. And like, it's so hard to replicate the energy of that summer, man. That was awesome. But that was the birth of it, and that's why, what I'm saying, 5-6 years later,
we're still going.
still successful.
Yep.
Still going.
Yeah, talk about where we're at now with One Up. Not only what you're doing currently, but the goals that you have for the company, the brand.
So right now we are in week 2 of our 6-week basketball camp. We've done every single year. I have a goal set in mind for what I want camp to have and feel like, right, and accomplish. So like this summer, like I want to build better foundations for these younger guys, right? So we have now kids from grades 4 all the way to 9th here in the gym, but just how to position their body, right? How to really understand their body, right? Learning their muscles. That's why we have Brandon here, obviously. So we start with a 6-week camp. Once that's over, we'll go into the fall where we'll have basketball clinics every day. And then I also do vacation camps during the year too. So we're pretty much an all year around program. And in the future, I would like to go into teams. I know that right now we're best known for the camps and the clinics, but when the time is right, I would like to go into, some actual AAU stuff.
I think while like AU teams, especially around this area, it's pretty saturated. I think you definitely offer something that a lot of teams don't.
Mhm.
I think one of them just being you're a real dude. Like you're not here to get anybody's money. You're not here to bring in more business. It's more so you really do care about the kids. Really do care about progressing them and seeing them grow, which I think luckily I had with Chris, and you can see that relationship and how it's blossomed to where it is now. But I think a lot of people need that in their lives, and they may not know how to get it or that they do need it.
Yeah, but those, right, even with like a successful coach, right? I wouldn't say I'm a successful coach, but like I do pretty good. Like, like I win championships. I think there's 2 ingredients that you have to have. I think that like you have to like enjoy these kids and try to get them better, but then you also have to respect the game, right? So like you have to respect the game and know, what the game can do for these kids and what the game can do for you. Like the game now feeds my family, but the game also has taken me all over the world. Like I spend a month every summer in Europe because of the game of basketball. I met my wife through the game of basketball, my friends through the game of basketball. Everything in my life revolves around the game of basketball. And if you respect the game, then there's nothing that this game can't do for you.
These relationships have been brought together through basketball, and I think that's something that will happen to the end of time, 100%. And Brandon, I would love to hear what you're up to, what you're doing with your training. Obviously, you're still here with One Up, but also the music is a big part of who you are.
For sure. yeah, I'm definitely trying to continue to develop in the strength and conditioning field. There's a certification I have my eye on. It's going to take a lot of studying, but I'm willing to put the work in. It's just difficult balancing a lot of things, right? And I also still have to pay the bills. So, you know what I mean? I have, my jobs that help me do that, but I definitely want to continue to progress. And I do see myself doing this strength and conditioning stuff for a long time because I really do enjoy it. And like we've been saying, it's really cool to be able to help the younger generation develop and meet their goals. And I love working with kids that do want it just as bad as I did. And in terms of the music, I'm just, again, that's something that is like the strength and conditioning. You could see your clients on paper, right? I got a book of business of 20, 25 people, whatever it is. The music's it's difficult because you really have to step into that unknown there. You really got to put yourself out there. You really have to be vulnerable, and you really have to just trust the process. And I love doing it. So whether it becomes a career for me or it can help me pay the bills, obviously that's the main goal. I've had a lot of good opportunities, and it's kind of similar to you saying with basketball, music has brought me a ton of friends and has given me so many, cool memories and opportunities again. So it's all it all ties together
I
with
got a
that.
question for you.
All right, talk to me.
Um, who on the athletic side, your dream athlete that you would like to train, right? And your dream collab music.
Dream collab. All right, I'm sure you guys both know who it is. Drake would be
Drake,
obviously an ideal collab.
Six God.
If I'm picking one,
Yep, picking one.
um, picking one, I'm picking one. It's my favorite artist. There's obviously a ton that come to the top of the head, but I'll just stick one. Dream athlete that I would love to train. I mean, Bron a little too old now, so like I'll keep it to somebody younger.
Doesn't have to be basketball.
No, I know. I'm thinking baseball guys right now too.
Atani, your man?
Nah, I'm a Yankees guy, man.
Yeah.
I love Otani. I think he's
Yeah.
a great guy, but damn, that's a tough question, bro.
All right, Chuck, who's your favorite athlete
It's
that
a
you would
tough
like to
question.
train?
I'm pretty blessed to have the opportunity that I had last summer where I got to be in the gym with a lot of NBA players, Braun, Klay Thompson, Darius Garland, all these guys. So, like, I think at the end of the day, still my dream athlete would be Steph. He's somebody that I grew up watching when I was in seventh grade and I started taking basketball more seriously. He was the first guy that I gravitated towards. Watching him play, just his joy for the game was contagious. And although I can't shoot as good as him, I can't dribble as good as him, I try to imitate a lot of his stuff. But the biggest thing that I tried to imitate was just like his joy for the game. Like when I'm feeling good out there, I'm cracking jokes with my teammates, with the other team. Like it's just a good vibe. But Steph for sure would be number one.
Did you
I'm a,
find one yet?
no, I'm gonna have to keep thinking. I'm trying to think of like my favorite young guy in the NBA right now.
Insert the bubble up top.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna get back to you. I'll think of it and I'll just blurt it out.
Appreciate you guys coming on. I think a lot of great themes of balance, of all that stuff. One last question I want for Doss. With the balance stuff, how have you been able to balance? You wear a lot of hats, the strength conditioning, the music. Day to day, how have you been able to balance this type of stuff?
It's finding time management, which I have been able to get a lot better with through the sports. Right? When you're in college, you have to go to class, you got to go to the weight room, you have to practice. You know what I mean? You got to do all these things, and that has definitely helped time management. But it's really discipline. You know what I mean? I think the discipline is so key, and just knowing what you need to get done, not slacking, being disciplined on certain things, and understanding that doing multiple different things. Of course, you want to give 100% to everything, but maybe you only got 80% that day to give to music, for example, right? And I think just giving what you have to give that day, whether it's a strength and conditioning, whether it's a music, I think that's important. But staying disciplined. I give one day where I'm locked in on, creating programs for my clients, and it's going to take away from the music. And then maybe that next day, now that I'm done with the programs, right, I'll do a little studying or do what I need to do, and then give, more hours to the music. It's hard, but it's stay in balance. Really, the balance is so key.
And I think you can't do anything without discipline. Like
Yeah,
the time management, all that kind of stuff, that all comes from discipline. So like once you have that discipline, there's nothing that you can't do. So if I do have to do a workout schedule for my client, I got to be at camp, and then I got to go record at the studio. That may mean, you know what? I can't wake up at 8 o'clock this morning. This morning I have to be up at 4.
or I
Right?
can't go out the night before because the boys asked me to come grab it. You know what I mean? It's the discipline
Or if
thing.
I'm up all
And
night, then I'm up all night grinding.
but yeah, it's important. And you know, again, I think the balance is key because too much of anything will kill you, is what they say.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Jeff, talk to me about your balance, your routine. You're more focused on the basketball side, so you don't really have all those different avenues. But at the same time, I think you have the motivation of providing for your family, your kid now.
I think it's two
Shout out to
things.
Oliver and Marta.
Shout out to the family. It's being, once again, intentional is one of the biggest things, and also being disciplined, right? So I wear the hat of the basketball guy, but I'm also running and trying to build a business, right? So making sure that the business is running properly, right? Making sure that, staff is taken care of, right? Guys got to get paid, kids got to be in the gym. You got to provide an environment where kids also can work hard, but also be safe, right? So I try to provide all that kind of stuff at the same time, trying to be a good husband and a good dad. And then if I can find time for myself, then that's also a plus, right? And every single day, it's a challenge, you know what I'm saying, to actually do those things. But the discipline part of it is really what is going to set me apart from everybody else. And I'm looking forward to some new challenges in the future that I have, in store and planned. But discipline's going to get us there.
I feel very lucky not only to call you guys friends, but to see you guys as role models. And I'm kind of in the same career path as you guys, so being able to learn from your successes, your mistakes, your failures, I think I'm at such an advantage. And I think platforms like this or ideas like this, just where we can sit down and talk about it, is definitely something where we're all benefiting. So appreciate you guys having you on.
I was gonna say that I know I could probably speak for Jeff too, but I'm super proud of you because when I met you, you were just that camper, maybe a little bit stubborn, maybe a little bit entitled. I will say that you always worked hard. I tell you that you're, what I'm saying, still the hardest worker I've had in terms of the strength and conditioning stuff. So it's cool to see somebody put in the work and actually get the results. And maybe you're not where you want to be, right? But you've continuously put in work, no matter whether you achieved what you wanted to, maybe on the basketball court, right? Maybe there's certain things that you wanted that haven't happened, but you didn't let that deter you from continuously working hard. And I'm super proud to see where you're at. And, you started as a camper, but like you said, you're a friend and you can always hit me up. And you have, you know what I'm saying? And I try and give you as much game as I can. And I love being a role model to somebody like you. And that's why we love what we do.
Absolutely.
But again, super proud of you, and
And
I hope to see you doing better than both of us, bro. You know
well,
what I mean?
that's a
Like, we're
given.
rooting for you for sure.
Yeah, that's a given. And like Coach B said, there were times where you were hard headed, you know what I'm saying? But the one thing about you is you always worked hard, right? And that's the recipe for greatness. So all the success that you've been able to have, it's really not a surprise to me because like you're just a dog. So whatever you have your eyes set on, like you're gonna figure it out. And like if you go in there with that same dedication and passion, uh, I hope you don't forget about us when you make it big.
No doubt.
Yeah,
My
for sure.
dog.
I mean, listen, don't change. You know what I mean? You've always been disciplined and hardworking and had a good head on your shoulders and very mature for your age. You know what I mean? We're all stubborn and hard headed when we are younger, growing up, and you were an easy person to coach, to be honest. So, all right, enough of gas and Chuck up. He might cry. He might cry on his own podcast.
Yeah.
I think.
PTK, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks to my guys for showing out.
Much
Thanks for
love.
having
Chris,
us.
we did not miss you at all.
Not at all.
Nah,
We don't need you
Where
anymore.
is Chris? I actually called that guy yesterday. He didn't pick up my call. So
You too?
Yeah, he didn't pick up my call.
He didn't pick up mine either.
He's a family
busy, he's
man.
busy.
He's a
Yeah,
family man.
yeah,
I get it.
he's
He's got a
busy.
lot on his plate, but so do we all. Not an excuse. I
It's
better
like,
get
we
that. I
find
better get that
time.
call back.
Yeah.
Better get that call back.
TTK, we out.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.